Welcome back to the exam preparation video series for AZ-305, Designing Microsoft Azure Infrastructure Solutions. I'm Bobbie Russell, and I'm a Microsoft Technical Trainer. This is the third episode out of a total of 4 episodes in this series. In this episode, we'll focus on designing data storage solutions, and in it we'll cover designing a solution for backup and disaster recovery, as well as designing for high availability. Here is a list of all the different skills you may be tested on. These are sometimes referred to as may included, meaning they may or may not be on your exam. This list isn't exhaustive, and while we won't be covering every skill in this video, be sure you're able to perform these skills before you take your exam. When you're reviewing recovery solutions for Azure and hybrid workload, it's an important thing that you understand how different tools fit in different scenarios. Understand things like Azure Backup. This is your go-to for backing up both your on-premise and Azure VMs. It's useful for when you need to back up when you need to create an application consistent backup, including backups for Linux VM. So if the question involves protecting production workloads or hybrid environments, Azure Backup is likely the right fit. Next, look at the Azure Site Recovery, or ASR. This is more about disaster recovery than backup. Keep in mind that it's designed to keep workloads running during an outage by replicating that data. If you're asked about regional outages or business continuity, this is the solution that you want to focus on. Then there's the VM snapshot option. This is useful when you need a point-in-time backup of a managed disk or read-only full backup copy. It's not a full backup solution, but it's great for quick recoveries. So keep that in mind for your testing scenarios. Finally, don't forget the Microsoft Azure Backup Server, or MABS. While it's not detailed in the image, it's typically used in more complex on-prem environments where you need to back up workloads like SQL Server or Exchange. Make sure that you can match each of these tools to the right use case. That kind of scenario-based understanding is exactly what the test will look at. Make sure you understand the different backup scenarios supported by Azure Backup. Start with on-premise. You'll use the Mars agent for files, folders, and system state, and DPM and MABS for protecting things like virtual machines, VMware, and other workloads. For Azure VMs, you can back up entire Windows or Linux machines using backup extensions or using Mars for more. So understand that. Also, study how to back up SQL and SAP HANA databases running inside your Azure VMs. Now keep in mind these are application-aware backups, so know what application-aware backup is. And don't overlook the broader use cases for things like replacing traditional backup systems and so forth. Know the tools and data types and the environments that they apply. That's what the exam will test you on. When you're reviewing backup and recovery solutions for databases, there are a few key areas to focus on. First, understand the retention periods. Now keep in mind that Azure offers short-term retention for up to 35 days and long-term retentions for up to 10 years. Remember those numbers. You'll want to know how each is appropriate, whether it be short-term, which is great for operational recovery, while long-term is more for compliance and archiving. Next, study the different restoration methods. You should be able to explain how to restore a database to a specific point in time, how to recover a deleted database, and how to restore it to a different region if you need to. Also, be familiar with restoring from long-term backups, whether it's a single database or part of an elastic pool. When reviewing the types of backups involved, keep in mind you have full, differential, and transaction log backups. These are automatically managed in Azure SQL Database and SQL Managed Instances, but you still need to understand how they work and when they're used. Also make sure you know how geo-redundant storage plays into your overall recovery strategy. Keep in mind that this ensures your backups are available even if the region goes down. Understanding these concepts will help you confidently answer questions about database protection, recovery planning, and compliance on your exam. When you're reviewing backup and recovery for unstructured data, make sure you understand how soft delete works. In Azure, This feature is designed to protect blobs, snapshots, containers, and even blob versions from accidental deletions and overwrites. These are key things that you'll want to remember. You'll also want to study how soft delete applies to Azure Recovery Services Vault, which adds another layer of protection to your backup data. And be sure that you can explain the differences between container soft delete, blob soft delete, and blob versioning. This diagram here in the image helps you show how different versions of blobs are preserved and can be recovered if needed. This is a core concept for data durability and recovery in Azure, and is something you'll definitely want to be confident that you understand in preparation for your exam. If you're getting ready for your exam, one key area you'll want to focus on is backup and recovery for unstructured data in Azure Blob Storage, specifically point-in-time restore. This feature is super important for scenarios where data gets accidentally deleted or corrupted by an application. So make sure you understand how and when to use it. You'll also need to know how to set up a management policy for your storage account. This is what defines how long your data is retained and available for recovery. And don't just memorize the steps, really get comfortable with how to restore either specific containers or an entire storage account back to its previous state. If you can walk through that process confidently, you'll be in great shape for anything related to the exam on this. Note that Azure provides three main options to enhance availability for IaaS deployments: availability sets, Azure Site Recovery, and Availability Zone. You'll need to know what each one of these does. You'll also want to study on what level of protection does each provide. If I have a data center failure, which of these solutions will not give me the protection that I need? Which one of these solutions will provide me protection against a regional failure? These are the type of things that you'll need to know for the exam related to this, and keep those features in mind. Know that Azure SQL Database offers 3 service tiers that offer varying levels of database availability options and capabilities across 2 pricing models. And those pricing models are vCore and DTU. So understand each one of these service tiers, as well as what types of levels of protection they provide for each one. This is going to be critical for your exam. Keep in mind the 2 options that Azure Storage provides for data replication in your primary region. The first is locally redundant storage. This is going to be the lowest cost redundant protection that you have within your storage account, so keep that in mind. Keep in mind that it protects against server and rack failures. It doesn't protect against let's say, data center failure. This is going to be a key distinguishing characteristic. The second type we have is zone redundant storage. Now, this offers synchronous replication across 3 Azure availability zones. So now if we lose one of our data centers, our data is still protected and it's still accessible. Keep in mind that the 2 options that we have for Azure Storage provides for copying data to a secondary region. Keep in mind that the 2 options we have for the different 2, LRS versus ZRS. Which one provides local protection? Which one provides zonal protection? This is going to be important for this part of your exam. To recap, in this episode, we discussed how to design solutions for backup and disaster recovery, as well as designing for high availability. Remember, this group counts for about 15 to 20% of your exam, so keep that in mind when you're preparing. Thanks for watching episode 3 on designing business continuity solutions. Be sure to join us for episode 4, where we cover designing infrastructure solutions.